right. Well, welcome to How to Heal Your Body. Um, this is, this workshop has been in the works, being created by the universe for so many years, first through my life and my healing journey, and then the period of time where I was starting to put the teachings together. In a way, I was telling someone earlier that like this feels like a mini condensed full, in a way, like a condensed Reiki class, because Reiki, if you look to the philosophies and the foundations of Reiki, it's pretty much everything I'm going to talk about today. So I'm not going to really be talking about Reiki per se, but it's all in there, the Reiki path as well. So, but let's get started with a meditation, and then we'll do some introductions. So I just invite you to close your eyes and feel your feet planted on the ground. Bring attention to the feeling of your feet and your toes, the sensations in your feet and toes. And I just invite you to take a moment and have gratitude and appreciation for this connection that we have to Mother Earth through our feet. So we walk around all day with these beautiful feet that just connect us, ground us down into our human self, our human form. Without these feet, life would be very difficult, wouldn't it? So just feeling our feet. And I'm going to chant a little bit. And as I chant, I simply invite you to keep your awareness on your feet. This is a chant for removing obstacles. And specifically, this is a little chant for Ganesh. Ganesh is this beautiful energy that you can think of it as like a giant elephant, and the elephant takes their trunk and swipes away all the obstacles. So we may come here today with a few obstacles. Maybe we're tired, maybe we're distracted, maybe we're thinking about other stuff. So this chant is going to push away, brush away all the obstacles. And as we connect with our feet, so just focusing on the feet, we are grounding here into the present moment and removing all these obstacles. Om Shrim Hrim Klim Glaum Gam Ganapataye Varavarade Sarva Janame Vashamane Swaha. Om Shrim Hrim Klim Glaum Gam Ganapataye Varavarade Sarva Janame Vashamane Swaha. May we all receive what we are meant to receive today for the highest healing and well-being of ourselves and all beings. Namaste. So I honor the call that each of you listened to by deciding to come here, It can be scary to directly look at the things that we need to heal, right? Like sometimes it's easier to shove things under the carpet and be like, I'll think about that another day, and knowing that like perhaps what I share with you today may be challenging or uncomfortable. And as Helena, last night, Ordinary Pioneer, Helena led us, in a series of activities, exercises that were uncomfortable. And we were learning to embrace that in different ways. And so, yeah, we continue that theme this morning, that maybe some of the things I say will be uncomfortable, but my hope, my dream, my wish is that these things are helpful and that you can put them into practice in your daily life and heal. So I was a hardcore logical individual for many, many years. I feel kind of funny saying it, like, because people put so much. I got a PhD. So I went to the top of the ladder of brain activity. So in English over BGSU, I got a PhD. And so prior to getting a PhD for a number of years, I was very much into rationality. If I don't see it, it's not real. And I need proof for everything. And it was a great way to be, honestly, because previous to being super hyper logical, I was I had experienced a lot of abuse in my life. So the logic started to keep me safe. As the more logical I got, the more I felt safe. I was like, okay, like if I can think about something and hone my intellect and read as many books as I can on every subject possible. I mean, I used to have a library the size of, I don't even know. I was trying to calculate how many books I've read in my lifetime, and it's impossible. I don't even know. Um, but I have read so many books, and so it helped me feel safe. But what happened is then as my life continued, I got to the age of, let's see, I'll start passing this around. Um, so I was about, let me think. I was about 28 or 29, something in that range. I'm not so good with dates, but something like that. And I'm 42 right now. And my health, which had always been crappy, since I was a small child, my family likes to tell the story that when I was a baby, I almost died, and that, you know, like I was born underweight, and I kind of popped out of the womb with many things already wrong with me. So it was like I'm the weak one of the family, like. They all these like funny jokes, which weren't that funny actually, but you know, I'm the tiny bird or whatever that might die at any moment. So, and then as life progressed, up until my late 20s, my health got worse and worse and worse till I reached the point when I was at death's door. I reached the point where I was allergic and sensitive to most foods. I got tested at one point and I had a list of 30 safe foods, only 30. So for about a year or two, I could only eat 30 different foods. Um, I was allergic to the strangest things: black pepper, green beans, broccoli, like healthy stuff. My body was just like, nope. So my body was shutting down systematically. And my eczema used to be so bad that I had open wounds over my entire body, pussy, blood filled, just nasty. Like people would look at me and I think they probably thought I had leprosy or some kind of crazy, like, because it was not, it was eczema to the extreme. I'll pass this picture around. So I was like in my in my PhD program I was about to graduate, I think. Yeah, something like that. I was so sick, and Helena urged me to save pictures from when I was sick, because I just went through like a binge of, not a binge, but a purge of throwing things away. Because I like to live minimally and have not too much stuff, but I did save some of these pictures. And you know, I look at that person in that picture and I'm like, that doesn't even look like me. That looks like a totally different person. I was so exhausted on that. That was a Thanksgiving one year, and I had a high fever, and my intentional family, they were making dinner, and they were like, you got to come to Thanksgiving. And I was crying, I was sobbing, I'm too sick to get out of bed. And they're like, come on, just come. So I literally almost had to be carried. Like I had to lean on my partner to walk to get into the house, and pretty much for the whole meal I'm sitting at the table like with my eyes closed. So that was me. Like she said your body is functioning like you are in your 60s or 70s. If you keep going like this and you don't make these changes that I tell you to make, which were difficult changes, let me tell you, she said, you will die. She had actually a very blunt, she had no bedside manner. She's just like, you're gonna die. And I was like, ah, like, but I'm, in a way, I'm glad she said that, because
Was that a regular doctor?
this was an osteopath.
Okay.
Maybe what you needed to hear.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But
Reality there.
I sobbed for hours after that, because it was such a, it was like a big wake up call. But yeah, she said, I don't know how you're functioning, because I was in my PhD program, like working 60 hours a week, mostly from my bed, but I still was working. I said, well, actually, I drink 2 to 3 pots of coffee a day. That's how I'm living. And she said, and then she said, you have to quit all caffeine. And I said, but then I won't live. And then she's like, well, you will, but you need to do that. And so anyway, but so yeah, it was like I was functioning at like a 60 or 7-year-old body. Yeah. So anyway, so I would say like, and I could sit here and tell you the list of all the things that were wrong with me, but it would probably take an hour to tell you all of it. So I'll just summarize it and say I was dying. Crohn's disease, severe allergies. I had a migraine once for 5 months every day. Like I legit was like ready to die because at one point I was just in so much pain all the time that I told my husband at the time, will you help me? I'm thinking about suicide. Like, will you help me? And he was like, no. And glad I didn't do that, you know? I really wouldn't be here right now. But it was awful. And so now I would say my health now, I would characterize as good. So like if back when it was at its worst of this picture, awful health, right? So I'm at good health now. My goal is to be at excellent health. I would like to be able to like climb mountains and like do marathons if I wanted to and all that. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not. So good. I want to get to excellent. So that's where I'm in the learning with you guys today because like we're all going to teach each other. I have more I want to do, but I am so infinitely grateful that I'm at the good stage of health now and that for the most part, like I'm so grateful because so there was this one point in my journey where I was working with a bunch of different energy healers, sound healers, different holistic healers of different capacities. And there's this one woman, she was a medicine woman in the Native American tradition. And she she prepared, she didn't call it this, but this is how I think of it now. It was like a rebirth ritual. She said, you're going to lay on this table. It was like a massage table. And I'm going to chant and I'm going to put my hands on you. And then the old you is going to die. So you have to let go of that old you and you have to let that completely go. She said, you may vomit, you may cry, you may shake uncontrollably, like these crazy things might happen, but you have to be willing to go into that. Are you willing? And I said, absolutely, because I'm already dead. Like I felt like I was already dead. So kind of in a way, didn't really have a choice. So I said, all right. So I laid on the table. She did her magic on me. I didn't actually puke, but I was so nauseous. It was like an exorcism. It was so intense. But after a couple hours, I sat up and I felt different. And then she had me do this ritual that lasted like 7 days where I cooked certain foods for myself and prayed different prayers, and it was beautiful. That's just one of many examples of these like intentional deaths I went through. It wasn't just that one, it was multiple, right? Of consciously saying, I'm going to let go of this old version of me completely and step into like this new version. So part of what this workshop is today, how I see it anyway, and what I want to offer to you is an opportunity for how you are right now to die. And we have like negative associations with that word death, like, oh, it's scary, it's bad, it's wrong. In fact, it is only transformation. It is only change. So whoever you are that came into this room a little while ago, my invitation to you is to exit different as a different human. You know, you may look the same, people might think you're the same, but actually you have fundamentally shifted something inside of yourself and let a part of yourself, old self, die. So in my view, death is actually a really beautiful experience. It lets us change, you know? So that's kind of the overview of where I've come from. And I've said so much gratitude for teaching this class because I had to really think about what were the top 5 things that helped me heal, because there's so many things. Like I could list hundreds and hundreds of things, but I was like, what's the most important? So that's what I'm gonna share with you today. The top 5 things that helped me heal. And I hope that those are helpful to you. But so before I go into the 5 things, opening up for discussion for a minute, anything I've said spark anything for you that you want to share so far?
I just gotta say that looking at the picture, like seeing the difference in your eyes from then till now is such a transformation.
Yeah. Just like
It's like
I
I'm
did
a
it.
firm believer
Ugh.
that you can tell a person's soul by their eyes. And like looking there, you could see the pain, the agony, the sickness. And like now it's like your eyes are so much brighter.
Thank you for reflecting that. Thank you. Yeah. Gosh, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
One of the things that came to me when you were talking about that experience with the woman, I mean, this happens to me every time I get a Reiki treatment, or I mean,
Yeah.
last time you gave, you said you shed a lot, and I got up, I felt lighter, you know. I think putting ourselves in position to do that is really important. I mean, for years, gosh, since, I don't know, maybe 2008, I've always provided a space for practitioners to work on practitioners. Because I just felt a calling to take care of them because they're taking care of everybody else. And and a lot of times tend to hold stuff from other people. So I'm just very aware of that when I feel dense and when I feel light. You know, where I let go.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just like you say, there's Reiki and everything. I mean, that's part of it. It's just being in touch with that energy in you and knowing when something's off in your body, because the energy is really dense in that spot.
I want to translate and offer a word that we could substitute for the word energy, because I think sometimes like we maybe overthink it, like make that word too complicated, or maybe it's just confusing to us for whatever reason, or we're new to all this stuff. So Reiki, so it's what I teach is Reiki energy healing. But what is energy? What is Reiki? Like, what is that? A super simple word that you can think of to substitute would be light.
Yeah.
Lightness.
Yeah.
Like, so the people that you see in the world that are really depressed and bogged down by illness and grief and trauma and all these things, there's a heaviness to them, right? They're kind of like, you know, that was me in that picture. And then the people in the world that are full of vigor, that are like, they are full of light, right? So that's what energy is. It's light. It's the you could think of it as the light quotient, or the light amount that we are at any given time holding. So certain days we feel lighter, certain days not so much, right? The days that we feel lighter, we have more, we could call it Reiki or energy flowing through us. We could also call it the Holy Spirit energy. Holy Spirit, same thing in my opinion. So and thank you for sharing that, Jan, because giving ourselves those opportunities to like transform and become lighter, right? But it's not easy, is it? Because you have to
it's a lot of work.
it's hard. Yeah, it's work.
It's a lot of work, but
Change is
very
It
rewarding.
is rewarding.
I walked out of Reiki section like bawling.
Change is very
Totally.
difficult, and you have to want to do it.
Yep. Yeah. So I know that everybody here wants to, because you showed up. So awesome. You know.
When you talked about how you were born into this world with all kinds of problems, and so was I. And for me, that was a past life.
Yes. Yes.
I was not healed
Yes.
completely. So I brought all this back in.
Yes.
And now here I'm still dealing with it.
Yeah.
Do you think that might have happened to you?
I'm so glad you asked that. I was pondering that yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I think that what we do carries with us, because we have a soul. And great segue, you guys are so awesome, into my 5 things, because my 5 tips, if you will, are all about the soul, because that's the meat of the issue here. So my soul carried certain things into this life that now I'm working out. So yes, absolutely. Yeah. So great segue. So the first principle or tip is, and these are not necessarily in any particular order, but this is one of the first things that you will have to do. So it does make sense for me to list it first. It is accept your ailment as part of your soul's blueprint. Accept your ailment as part of your soul's blueprint. So what do I mean by blueprint? I mean that each of us come into this life with certain lessons to learn. they're all unique. Each person is unique. So what is a lesson for me may not be a lesson for Carmela. So that acceptance is a foundational piece to the puzzle, because if we are constantly resisting and saying this illness is a mistake, this shouldn't be happening, this is wrong, well, we will only perpetuate the illness at that point, because the energy of resistance, keeping something away, saying it shouldn't be like this, that is the energy of tension. And the more tension we have in our body, there is not as much room for lightness, for energy to flow. When you say to your illness or your ailment, you shouldn't be there, this is a mistake, this is wrong, it's creating this tension in your body. Like, no, no, right? Think of like a baby who's crying. Their face is all scrunched up and they're like, oh, right? So, so that is like, you have to work on that for a while, so that you can have that fluidity in your body. And, everything I'm going to talk about today, it's kind of funny because it's ironic, maybe is the word, not funny. This workshop is called How to Heal Your Body, but I'm actually not really going to talk too much about the body directly. I'm talking about the soul. And Helena and I have, like, for years had endless conversations about this. It's like, yes, do all the things. Yes, eat healthy. Yes, exercise. Yes, but what I'm here to specifically teach and inspire you about is about the soul, which is a crucial component, which directly affects the body. I'm not saying you can skip any of those mundane physical things. Like, if you need to go get blood work, go get blood work. If you need to get surgery, right? Do all those physical things, great. But if you ignore the spiritual, the soul component, you will not heal. That is, I just bluntly said, like, I've seen so many people who do all the physical things. They're like, I eat all organic. Why am I not healing, right? I'm working with this woman right now who's doing all the things, right? All the things, but she is still working through some deep soul lessons. So it's not happening quite as fast as she would like, but I know once she dives fully into the soul lessons, her healing is going to just take off like crazy. So the soul is like this foundational piece of the puzzle. Detach your energy and purify your soul. Those two things are really like combined together. So I put them as one point. Okay. So detach your energy and purify your soul. So everybody who's in this room is a loving, kind, caring person. You just are, by the nature of you being here. You are empathetic. You are sensitive, which is a good thing in my book. You have a willingness to help, to be of service to others. That is you. That is who you are, which is so wonderful. Thank you for being you. Also, when we are that way, people in our life who are different than that, or maybe they're just not at quite as much of that as we are. Maybe they're, a little bit, but not quite as much. They're on the way to get there, but not yet. They have feelings and emotions and traumas, right? And stuff they're working through. We're all human. We're all working through our stuff. Their energy comes flying at us. Whoa, right? So detach your energy means that you come back into your own energy, right? So your energy is essentially your soul. Okay. So from like a yogic perspective, we have different like sheaths, they call it, but it's layers of the body. So one of the layers is the aura, which is basically energy that surrounds the body from a couple feet outward. Okay. So it's this invisible, some people can see auras, I sometimes can see them, but so we have this aura, right? And when we are not fully like adept at managing our energy, our aura is like a sponge and it sucks in everything. It's like give it to me, right? So that tendency, just to talk about it from a past lives perspective for a moment, you don't have to resonate with the past lives thing if it doesn't work for you. It's just just one way of looking at it. But like from past lives thing, it stems from other lifetimes where we were martyrs, right? And we were like, I must sacrifice myself for others. Literally, yeah. But we don't have to do that in this lifetime. This lifetime is different. I love this lifetime. I don't know about you, but this is way better. So, like this lifetime, we're still dealing with the martyr energy, but it's not manifesting as intensely or dramatically as it was in the other incarnation. So each of us has our own unique energy field. So how do you do that? A basic, simple technique is you can close your eyes, right? And you can just visualize that you are in a column of light, right? It could be a white light, a yellow light, a gold light, and you're just standing in a column of light. And it's fully encapsulating your body. That's it. It's very simple. And if you have problems like with visualization, don't worry about it. Just think about it. Think about standing in a white light, if that makes sense. So coming back into your energy, right? When you do that practice and you just imagine that, you then automatically put up a boundary around yourself, and other people's energy does not affect you as much. And I say as much because it's a practice. So like even myself, sometimes I forget this. And then I'll be like, why am I so out of whack today? Oh shoot, I haven't been coming into my own energy, right? So it's a practice, and we just get better at it over time. But that's a great practice that you can do all the time. So this is the next part of it. So purify your soul. What does that mean? That means let go of other people's stuff that has been trapped into us. Now that includes a big part of this. Okay, and this is maybe the hardest part actually, is one of the hard parts. There's so many, but like letting go of the ideas and beliefs from our greater society and culture, because, and this includes diagnoses. Now, I will make like a side note here and say, I am grateful that doctors and therapists can sometimes give us labels to help us make sense of our lives. Like we need labels, like coming to the realization that what I was healing was Crohn's disease for my gut was extremely helpful. At the same time, like this is a side note of a side note. I never got a diagnosis of Crohn's from a doctor. I got it from the universe. One of the universe was like, this is what you have. If you went to a doctor, this is what they would tell you. And I'm like, oh, well, thanks for saving me all that money to go to a doctor. Our soul at its essence is pure. But when we come into this world, it gets piled on with all these beliefs and ideas from other people. And so if you think of a little child, how little children are so wonderful to be around because they're just like these bundles of joy and light, and they're just like, right? And then over time they become like adults, and then so how can we get back to that childlike state, purify our soul, let go of those ideas? And I know that's like a very broad thing to say. It's like, well, how do I do that? But one of the basic things is just to detach your energy and come into that light. Because if you come into that column light, or go to your happy place, or meditate, do whatever practices bring you back into yourself, your individual soul, right? Your soul is not the same as someone else's. My soul is not the same as Paula's soul. They are unique, like snowflakes. So when I come back into my soul, my Anya soul, through a meditation, through a Reiki healing, through a prayer, whatever practice it is, I then, and it's funny because it doesn't even have to be consciously done. It's not like you have to sit and be like, I'm going to make a list of all the things the society has taught me that I need to let go of. You don't really even have to intellectualize it like that. You could if you want to, but you don't have to. What I'm saying is, let's say that you sit down to meditate for 10 minutes. You're like, I'm going to meditate for 10 minutes. Just by meditating for 10 minutes, you automatically let go of all the BS, the lies, the untruths that come to us from our greater society. They just start to fall away. And you don't even have to try. It's not like you have to consciously, intellectually think about the ideas you're letting go of. It's just ideas will stop making sense to you that other people believe. For example, like What's one? Okay, so in our society, we have a belief. Let me think of one specifically related to health. Oh, here's a good one that we have these things called genetics that are passed on from our family, right? And so if our family has a history of this or that, then we'll probably get that. And we have to really work extra hard not to get that. Wow. That is quite a limiting belief. And if we continue to buy into that belief, then that is what will manifest. But if we say, hold on a second here, I'm a unique soul. I have a unique destiny than my parents or my grandparents. Sure, I may take good care of myself. I may exercise more, eat right, do all the things, not put so many toxins in my body, etc. I'm going to do all those things because they feel good to do anyway. I feel better when I do them. But in terms of like thinking it's a cause and effect from the DNA or the genetics, if you just let this start to like the more you meditate, the more you do your spiritual energy healing practices, whatever those practices are for you, you'll just stop resonating with false ideas. Plain and simple. One day just be like, oh, I just don't believe that anymore. That's weird. But it just happens, There's so many ideas in this culture that I no longer believe in. And I did not try to do that. It just happened. The more I meditate, the more I go within into that detachment from others, right? Into my truth. Because there's nothing harder than breaking free from the crowd, right? Peer pressure. Like, we all want to belong. It's a fundamental human need. However, that need for belonging gets us into trouble because then we end up doing stuff that's against what our soul wants to do, right? So, like, a silly, stupid example this morning, I was putting on my earrings and I was like, why does society tell you you have to match your earrings? I'm just going to wear one earring and a completely different earring. I've never did that before, but it felt extremely good. I was like, wow. So, I mean, that's a stupid example, a silly example, but like, we have all these unquestioned, norms, mores, right? And those norms and mores keep us trapped in these limiting beliefs. And that is honestly, as Western medicine exists, at least right now, chock full of lies, And I'm not saying doctors are doing it on purpose to be jerks. They don't know. If they knew, they would not participate. They'd be like, wow, I'm going to do something else. They just don't know. So, one example would be before I took a trip to India, how many years ago? 5 to 7 years ago, something like that. I was getting ready for my trip. I no longer had asthma at that point in my journey. I'd had chronic asthma since childhood, and then I had healed it. But I was kind of worried because I didn't know what the pollution like factors would be or the different, just things to breathe in when I went to India. So I went to a regular doctor and I was like, hey, like I used to have an inhaler. Can you refill this old prescription? I just want to take an inhaler with me to India because I'm just a little uncertain of what the air will be like or how my body will respond. And he gave me this very long, very demeaning lecture about how I should still be taking steroids every day. And I was like, because I used to have to take steroids every day for many, many years. And I was like, oh, I haven't done that in a long time. I don't need that anymore. I heal myself. And he goes, huh, how'd you heal yourself? And I was like, yoga and meditation. And he goes, well, And then he just told me, I won't give you this prescription unless you promise me. He was like dadding me like so hard. He's like, unless you promise me that you will start taking your steroid inhaler every day again. And I just lied to the man. I'm sitting there like, I don't even know what to say to you, dude. If going back today, I wouldn't lie. I'd just walk out of there and just be like, well, I guess I'm not meant to have an inhaler. But at the time, lying felt like the right choice. So I lied and I said, yeah, sure, whatever, dude. And he gave me the prescription. But like, I am 100% sure that in his mind, he thought he was helping me. He thought like, oh, this poor girl is going to die in India or like something. So he could not yet believe that someone could heal themselves through yoga and meditation, because his mind just didn't include that possibility. So I don't hold any enmity towards him anymore. I just think, I hope one day he can understand that the body is much more beautiful than he thinks it is, intelligent, absolutely. So yeah, so that's the second point. Detach your energy and purify your soul. The third thing is realize that you can fulfill your soul's missions right now. Realize that you can fulfill your soul's missions right now. This was huge for me. Because in my mind, I was thinking, I can't accomplish the things that I want to accomplish until I'm well, until this body is healed. So I had this list of things that I wanted to do. And because I wasn't able to accomplish them, because I was stuck in bed for so long, I had this like shame, like I suck, like my life sucks. Like, but so along the line, I started to realize like, okay, I may have like a checklist of things that I want to do in this physical world, but what is the core of each of those things? And I started to realize, oh, it's just loving myself and others. It's like our one rule at Ordinary Pioneer, love yourself and others. We literally have that one rule. I was like, oh, but so if everything boils down to that, I can do that right now, even though I'm sick, right? So I was laying in bed so many days, high fever, delirious, unable to get out of bed, thinking, well, I can fulfill my soul's mission right now. I can love myself in this state. And that's what got me out of the suicidal ideations, because I had to start loving myself as I was in that moment, which I realized was actually my soul's mission anyway. So whatever, maybe you have dreams of things that you want to accomplish in this lifetime, like I want to build this business or write a book, or I don't know, whatever it is for you, and you feel annoyed and depressed that you can't do it right now. Okay, maybe you can't. Maybe those things are out of your reach physically right now, but think about what is the core, and maybe you think of it differently than loving people, or maybe that resonates with you, but like think about it for a moment. What is the core of those things? Is it being a kind person? Is it being a peaceful person? Is it, what is it? Figure that out, and then once you see what that is, that core thing, you can do that in this moment. So you don't have to wait to fulfill that, because people always talk about like, what's your soul's purpose? What is your mission in life? And you might feel depressed sometimes because your body is not letting you do what those concrete things. But that's a very shallow way of looking at a soul's purpose. Like, oh, my soul's purpose is to, travel the world or something. Well, if you're sick, like, does that mean your soul is failing because you can't travel the world right now? No. What is it, the core, hypothetically, if it was traveling the world, people love to travel because it's an instant meditation. When you're out of your surroundings, you're instantly present. It's like a hack to meditation, right? So if your soul's purpose is to be in a meditative state, you can do that while in a hospital bed. It may not look like traveling the world, right? But so there's two tips left, and you all are mastering it already. This one, which is embrace your emotions.
Oh, yeah.
It took a long time to get there.
And embrace your emotions. So I wrote a little ebook about this a couple years ago. If you all want a free copy of this, it's like a PDF. I can just email me later, or text me, and I'll send it to you. But the nutshell of that little book is like, so the soul and the body can be separate. I mean, we were talking about like disassociation a little while ago. It's very much true that what we're seeking is a full integration of body and soul, right? What is the body? The body, in part, is a bunch of emotions, right? And that's not a bad thing. However, in many spiritual traditions, unfortunately, many religious traditions, unfortunately, they demean emotions. They demonize them. We should never feel anger. We should never feel sadness. We should always be grateful and always be smiling. That's BS, man. That's super BS. If you look at some of the great sages and saints of earth, Jesus, for example, Jesus got mad sometimes, he felt deep emotions. He went to the Garden of Gethsemane and didn't want to do what he felt so sad. He didn't want to say goodbye to his friends. you know, the Buddha, I'm trying to remember, is this the Buddha? I'm 98% sure this is the Buddha. If not, it's another Buddhist person, but I'm pretty sure it was the Buddha. That at one point he got annoyed with his disciples because they were just being gossipy and like just doing little silly things. And so he's like, you guys, I'm gonna go for a while. So he took like 6 months or something, and he was just annoyed at them. He had to leave. So he went and just meditated by himself for a while in the jungle, just completely alone, because he was getting frustrated. He was like, I gotta peace out for a little while. So it's human to have emotions. It's okay to have emotions. And can we accept that we're human and we have freaking emotions, right? To not shame ourselves, to not be like, it's so hard to do, you know, when you're in the moment of like, you know, that frustration of spending time with a family member who's so hard to be around. And then you start to feel your energy drop and you start to feel your shoulders come up. And then by the time you leave, you're like, I am just a half the person I was that I came in. And then you shame yourself. You're like, what's wrong with me, right? And I'll, you know, full disclosure, at this current time, I have zero contact with my biological parents. It's a long story, but basically, I don't see a point right now. I don't see a point. However, if they were to get in touch with me and ask me to spend time with them, I would. I absolutely would. But I distanced myself from them because I needed to come back into my own space to continue my healing journey. And that was good for me to do. But if they request my presence at a future time, maybe on a deathbed or something, I don't know, I have a sense that's going to happen. I will see them. And if they trigger some uncomfortable emotions in me, my intention is to embrace that, even if it will be hard. So yeah, let ourselves cry, let ourselves feel the feels. Pay attention to the moments when you're still resisting your feelings. You know, a couple weeks ago, Helene and I were hanging out, and I said something that I've been like repeating because I think it's just funny. Okay, so life is kind of like this. And then it goes, and then it goes, and then it goes, oh, and then it goes, and then it starts all over again. So it's a cycle. We feel right now happen to be in a good up phase. Everything's flowing, everything's super peachy keen, right? But in a little while, whether tomorrow or a month from now or 2 months from now, I don't know, I'm going to start feeling confused and a little bit ungrounded maybe. And then after a little while of that, I'm going to go through a horror show. Something bad's going to happen. This is awful. And then I'm going to be like freaked out. Totally, anxiety is going to be flowing through this body. Then I'm going to be very depressed. But then I will be surrendered and I will just let go and be like, you know what? F it. I'm just going to just like whatever. I'm going to accept all this crazy town and just then I'll go back into the happy, because thank you for that exclamation point. Like that surrender phase, right? So the surrender phase is right before the happy phase, and it looks like this. We just give up. We're like, and that is the phase usually when we allow ourselves to feel our emotions. We go into the crying, into the depression. We actually allow ourselves to feel everything we've been blocking, and then we get surrender phase, and then we go back into the happy phase. It's literally like clockwork. I should like make a Helena, maybe one day, she's really good at making diagrams. We can make a diagram for this. So I recognize that right now I'm in a good phase. This will not last forever. Unfortunately, it won't. So I'm prepared for the next round of that. So when we're in an up phase in life, when things are flowing more easily, more synchronicities, more good things, more blessings, we're feeling good, life is good. We might even say some super cocky, like, I'm gonna be happy for the rest of my life. Okay, well, if we're in that phase, the key is to not get distracted by the happiness. It's really hard to do, But because we're so happy, we might let some of our spiritual practices fall aside. Oh, I don't need to pray as much. I'm just connected to God all the time, right?
do that.
And we all do that. Oh, I could just eat this extra cake because I feel good. No, to be like,
2 hours later.
to recognize I'm in an up phase in the cycle, instead of falling back into old patterns because of like, instead of just justifying like going back to old lazy kind of patterns, or I don't like that word. I don't want to use that word. Cancel clear. Just less disciplined things, behaviors. Can you utilize the up phase to go deeper into your healing practices? To be like, I'm not going to veg out on this movie tonight. I'm going to sit down and read the sacred text. I'm going to sit down and meditate more. So that's, what I've been working through past couple days. I'm like, wow, I need to harness this good energy. So embracing your emotions means embracing every stage that you're at on the journey and realizing that the more you can embrace your emotions, whether they're good or bad, whatever, you're connecting your soul to your body. You're integrating your body with your soul. You're making the seamless melding together, because in a lot of traditions, unfortunately, a lot of spiritual and religious traditions, they separate them. Body different, soul different. They also do it with they'll say earthly realm, heavenly realm, different. What if, just as a thought experiment, what if it was like this instead? And what if we could bring that feeling of heaven into this earthly plane more? Just a little bit more. And what if instead of the body and the soul being separated, what if they could be one, right? So because the body is full of these emotions, then integrating that with the soul. So that's an image that you can work with. Bringing the body and the soul together. Bringing the emotions and the mind together. Yeah. And so then that brings me to the fifth point, and this one is the most challenging of all, so I saved it for the end. So be prepared and willing to do anything and everything. Be prepared and willing to do anything and everything that your soul requests of you.
Everything and anything?
Yeah. Be ready and willing to do anything and everything that your soul requests of you. So first question is, how do I know what my soul wants? How do I know what my soul is requesting? The only answer to that is prayer, meditation, and spiritual practices of various sorts. You have to get quiet. You have to get quiet to be sure of what you're hearing. If you're not sure, you don't have to do it. But if you get to a point where you become sure that you're hearing a message from your soul, hey, Paula, you really need to do this. You really need to change this behavior or this activity. And you know it and you hear it and you feel it's true in your heart. You just do it. You do it even if it sucks.
Oh, that's hard.
Everything that we decide to do for ourselves, because you said it was for yourself, puts another puzzle piece. It snaps it into place for our general well-being and health. And sometimes we may not know exactly how it's going to affect our body, but we get these nudges from our soul about things we need to do or not do, right? And the mistake we sometimes make is we can't foresee how making this change will make our health better. It's not a logical thing. It's just spirit might, or God, or however you want to put it, might nudge to us, oh, you need to sing more. You need to sing more. And we'd be like, but what we're trying to heal is lupus or something. I don't know. And we start singing, and then our lupus starts to go away, and we maybe never even know why. What was the cause and effect there? That's so odd. And that's what I've learned. So every time my soul tells me to do something and I'm 100%, like I know I heard it and I can't deny it, right? And I fulfill that request of my soul, my health improves. It's just a given every single time. So even if it's like a minute thing, like give up this food. This food is not agreeing with your body. You've been eating it, but maybe just stop, you know, and maybe you're attached to it and you love it, but really it's not serving you. And you release that food, that puts another piece of the puzzle into the puzzle you're creating of your general health. And I think people forget that sometimes. They're like, well, if I just eat organic, or if I just, you know, go get acupuncture every week, or if I do yoga every week, like those will be the things that will heal me. And they forget that it's a holistic picture of everything together, right? So to use myself as an example, like, one of the directives that I had for my soul like a number of years ago was to completely change my identity as a human. For years, I was a polyamory activist, advocate. So I wrote a book about polyamory. I wrote my PhD dissertation about polyamory. Polyamory is the practice of having multiple consensual romantic partners. So everybody knows and everybody agrees, and you can be married to 4 people if you want, right? And everybody's happy with it. So I practiced that and I loved it. And I was an advocate for that in our society. And it was a huge part of my identity. And then slowly my soul started to say, that's not you anymore. And I was like, what do you mean that's not me anymore? I wrote a freaking book about it. Like, are you serious?
And it's a good book.
Thank you. It is. And in the book, I think I even said something like, I will never be monogamous again, or something like that. Like, and then my soul was like, yeah, haha, just kidding, you will be. So I had to let that version of me go. This was a polyamorous human. Like, not to say that polyamory is bad in any way. It was perfectly what I needed at the time. But like, I had to let so many parts of my identity go and to become someone completely different, like completely. In fact, I'm celibate now. I went from like having multiple partners to nada, right? And it's so what parts of your identity are you holding on to that maybe are ready to be transformed, right? Like what labels, right? What activities, what ways that you organize your schedule, that you approach your practices, spiritual daily practices, what is ready to shift? And then having the courage really to just do it. And it doesn't happen overnight. Oh God, I have been trying for years to release my stinking addiction to caffeine. My God, for those of you guys who know me, I've been talking about it for forever. And I think I'm finally doing it now, right? I don't know, maybe I'll have another relapse. If I do, I will get back on the stinking wagon again. But spirit, my soul has been telling me since that doctor that I mentioned that told me I was going to die, she said, you have to stop completely ingesting caffeine if you want to heal. And I have for periods of time. I've gone months without having it. I think the longest I ever had was 6 months. I had 0 caffeine, no chocolate, no coffee, no tea, nothing. 6 months. And then I somehow got back on it again because everybody, well, 90% of people in American society ingest caffeine and it's just culturally normative. So I think, well, I could just have it again. No, actually not, you know? So I'm on a cycle again right now where I have released it, and I feel when I'm not having caffeine, I am like a totally different person. I have so much more energy. It's paradoxical because caffeine, you think you have more, you don't. But that's all. Take another class with me on that in the future. I'm sure I'll teach on that. But I feel so great. But like, so what are you holding on to? Like what activity, addiction, mindset that it could be something as stupid as like my body doesn't really like bread and I keep eating it because I'm attached to it emotionally. And you're just like, dude, I'm going to listen to my soul and just stop eating bread. It could be something as little as that, or something as huge as like, my marriage is actually quite toxic and has been for a long time and I'm ready to get a divorce. You know, it could be huge like that. But and this is going to perhaps sound a bit stern, but I'm going to say it, if you're not willing to do anything and everything to heal your body, if you're not willing to listen to everything your soul tells you to do, then you will not be putting yourself in the position to heal whatever illness that you mentioned this morning. That's just how it is. So you have to be surrendered to your soul in a complete way. Not to say you'll always succeed. Like like I said, I've been trying to kick this caffeine habit since 2000 and let me try to remember. Like it was probably she told me that maybe like in 2010. So I'm just now finally think I've released it. I hope, yeah, I think I did. I feel like I did. So, but I've struggled, right? But I kept trying. That's the point. Like, so just like with an addict, with anything, like if you're an alcoholic and you slip up and you fall back, you just get back on the wagon. You just go back into sobriety. So whatever you're trying to release or change, you just keep trying till it sticks. I had a cannabis addiction for a really long time. That's finally in the past. I don't crave it anymore. I don't want it anymore. Many addictions. I used to be an alcoholic, guys. I used to be an alcoholic. I try to picture that, but I was. The smell of alcohol makes me nauseous now. It's so gross to me. It's literally disgusting to me. No desire to drink. I could sit here. I've been very addicted. I used to smoke 2.5 packs of cigarettes a day.
Oh my God.
I was a legit chain
With
smoker
asthma.
with asthma.
Holy
With
crap.
asthma.
Oh yeah, I was hardcore into my self-harm.
How old were you when
I-
you did these things?
I started smoking at the age of like 12, and I
God.
smoked until I was about 25 cigarettes.
Oh,
But then I picked up the cannabis addiction more, and I sort of substituted, and I started smoking joints. So it was this.
Your lungs were still crying.
Yeah. So I have healed so many addictions. It's incredible, but it took time, So I want this to be encouraging to you that if you feel stuck with a particular like health issue and it's not budging, to be like, what's that thing that I've been putting off doing, right? Procrastinating. Maybe I've been wanting to meditate every day for an X amount of time. I've been procrastinating. I wonder if I do that thing that I've been procrastinating about, I wonder then if that would help my health situation and just go into it as an experiment. Like, well, I've tried everything else, but, I look forward to seeing the ways that as the days continue without caffeine in my system, that I will tweak that health from good to excellent. And that I could teach this class one day and be like, yeah, I used to be addicted to caffeine so long ago. And now, so yeah, so we're going to go into a brief guided meditation here to close and kind of bring all these principles together into one. So I invite you to close your eyes and just bring a little bit of awareness in this moment to your body's posture and see if you can sit up a little bit straighter. Bring a little bit more straightness to the spine. When the spine is straighter, we're able to access more intuitive information. And just start to bring awareness to your breath. We've been sharing a lot of ideas and thoughts. Maybe you've had a lot of feelings, but for this moment, I invite you to just let those go, put those on the back burner for a moment, and just start to feel your breath moving in and out of your nose. When the mind wanders, that's all right. That's what the mind does. But just bring your attention back to feeling the breath coming in and out of your nose. Meditation is simply the act of bringing the awareness, bringing the attention back to one focal point over and over and over. So when you get distracted, that's cool. It's cool, man. Just bring your attention back to breathing in and out of your nose. And we're going to add in a mantra, an affirmation into this breath practice. So I want you to, as you're inhaling, I want you to say the words I am as you're inhaling. So in your mind, say I am as you're inhaling. And then as you're exhaling, put a word or a couple words of what you are healing for yourself. So I am healing pain, or I am healing the specific ailment, whatever it is for you. So with each inhalation and exhalation, I am on the inhale, and then on the exhale, fill in the blank with what you're healing. And then the next part, and the most potent part of all, is feeling the present moment from the perspective of already having healed what you're healing. So keeping the I am on the inhale, and then on the exhale, appreciating that I have healed, past tense, fill in the blank. So I am, inhale. Exhale, appreciating that I have healed, fill in the blank. To close our meditation, we can bring our hands together in prayer, up, and bring our knuckles right in between our eyebrows to the third eye point. And just bring the corners of our lips up into a smile of gratitude to ourselves for being in this present moment, for being willing to do the work to heal. Go ahead, and then you can open your eyes and release your hands whenever you feel ready.